Hey everybody, David the AI Guide. Welcome to another episode. Thanks so much for tuning in, and please like, share, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And today we're going to talk more about robotics. We've talked in a few episodes recently about how quickly robotics is changing. And we know it's changing because if you watch the videos that Boston Dynamics puts up on their website, you can see from 2 years ago to now, dramatic improvement in the mobility and stability of robots doing things that they couldn't possibly do 18 months or 2 years ago. So this technology is evolving quickly, and there was a very interesting article in the April 19th edition of Wired magazine, which has a lot of great articles. But this particular article was an interview with an MIT robotics ethicist. Her name is Kate Darling. And that's obviously a brand new profession, isn't it? A person who deals with the ethics surrounding robotics. That's real new. But she was talking about how humans relate to robots so far, and it's her hypothesis that we're doing it incorrectly. So she said that Professor Darling said, a better way to think about robots is the way that we think about animals. And humans for thousands of years have incorporated animals into their life in many different ways, for work, for play, for companionship. Today, of course, many people have dogs or cats. A lot of people have horses, and there's all kinds of other pets. But we'll also see this kind of variety in robotics, she says. And she also mentions that this is a useful way to think about them, not as humans and they have to look like humans and act like humans and do everything that a human can do, but robots may be more specialized, and they may be like pets that are there for companionship, or they may be like pets that are there for playing with, or they may be like pets that are there to help us do certain types of work. So this is a very interesting framework for thinking about robotics, and it's certainly much less threatening than the science fiction narrative, as she says, that's so common, where robots become more and more human-like and take over the world and decide to get rid of us. That's the whole Terminator thing. And obviously, I'm talking about this because artificial intelligence plays a huge role in robotics at this point. Whatever the robot is able to do or can learn to do is all through AI, and the Terminator movies were all because of AI as well. So AI plays a central role in robotics, and it's one of the converging technologies that AI is enabling. And so we've talked recently about how robots are going to get more and more common in society, how they're going to become more and more visible. They become more visible in cleaning public spaces during the COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of airports are using them now. Shopping malls, big public areas are using robots to clean. We're starting to see robots in stores to either offer assistance or monitor for what they call shrinkage, which means people stealing. These robots are going to end up down the road being a checkout or serving us in a Starbucks or cooking food in restaurant kitchens and stuff like that. There's all kinds of ways that robots are going to be in our lives in the next 10 years. By the time we get to 2030, we're in 2021 now, so really it's 9 years. And given that robots are going to be so much more prevalent and so much more visible, we do need a good framework to think about them. So I think from a higher level perspective, it's very interesting and helpful that there are people who are specializing in the ethics surrounding robotics, like Professor Kate is. And also, it's going to be helpful to not have a threatening or threatened or fearful point of view to robots, because there are certain things that robots can do that we've talked about before that will be very, very beneficial to society and prevent loss of human life. An example of that is going into an active fire where a human would get burned alive, even in protective gear. And those situations exist. And firemen and women put themselves at grave risk in certain situations. So what this professor is advocating is that we think about robots working in cooperation with people. And this is the way that a firefighting robot might work with a fireman or a firewoman to cooperatively work to help rescue people and bring them out of buildings that are too dangerous for humans to enter. So as we move forward and as robots become more and more common and they can do more and more things, like we've talked about how household robots are about to be available that can load and unload your dishwasher, wash the dishes, and monitor, along with a smart fridge, your what's in your refrigerator and get stuff out of the fridge. Think of how this is going to help people with disabilities. This is an unambiguously positive thing for elderly people or people with disabilities. They will be able to live independently much more easily and for much more of their life than is possible today. But human care will still be very much required for the elderly and for people with certain types of disabilities, because helping someone get in and out of the shower or use the restroom or all kinds of stuff is really needs the human touch. And people, when they are restricted in their life and activity in some way due to a disability or age, need that human touch. So robots, I think her perspective is very interesting in that robots will be integrated into society in a positive way to provide companionship and help rather than it being threatening and them taking over the world and exterminating the human race. So I personally tend to take an optimistic view about the potential of both AI and the other converging technologies that it is enabling, like robotics, sensors, and more. I think that the world will become a better place overall. But again, it helps to have people who are paying attention to the ethics surrounding the use of these technologies, like this professor at MIT who is a robotics ethicist. Good stuff. So click the link below. We provide a free resource that helps you learn a lot more about AI. We're here for the big picture and the human impact. And the reason we keep talking about robotics is this is going to impact individual human beings and society in a big way this decade. So we focus on that, but if you want to learn more about the technical aspects of AI, this is a great resource for you. Thanks, take care. Please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you next time.